Alright guys, so this is another fun fanfiction idea. I thought it would be kind of, this is a really fun one, because this isn't really a crossover, not by a long shot, but it is an Ed Nettie story. And sometimes I just like to do, single universe stories, even though I'm kind of the crossover guy. Anyway, so this is basically an Ed Nettie-centric story, kind of in the vein of a story I did not too long ago called Viva Ed Vegas, which had the Eds and Marie go to Las Vegas and get into hijinks there. Here it's a little different. In this story, this is Big Ed in Japan, where it's Ed Nettie in Japan. Just think on that for a second. Ed Nettie in Japan. And before you ask, yes, this does tie into the episode where they try to make Jimmy into a sumo wrestler. This is where that idea came from. So, yeah, so let's get into this story. So this story pretty much follows up with the sumo wrestler era, the sumo wrestler episode. Sorry, it's been a long day. And in this story, it's more or less the Eds watching a sumo wrestling tournament with Ed in his basement. Like, he's just, like, introducing them to sumo wrestling. He's like, it's that thing I like, guys. And they're like, whoop-de-doo, Ed. What a treat. And Double D is, like, explaining Japanese culture, and no one's bothering to listen, because it's literally just watch the sumo wrestlers slam into each other. And while this is going on, Ed reveals to his friends that he had entered a contest to go to Japan to get, like, front row seats to a sumo wrestling tournament. And he had entered that contest, but there was, like, but it was like only two people were gonna win. Like, two people were going to win that contest, and they could each bring two friends with them. So it would be 6 people going to Japan, to a paid vacation to Japan. And while Double D is, of course, like, who knows, Ed? Stranger things have happened. And while Eddie's like, get real, Stretch. That ain't gonna happen. Monobrow, keep dreaming. But what happens is Ed wins. Ed wins the contest. And he's like, my friends, we are going to Japan! And to which they like, holy crap, we're gonna go to Japan. And Double D's like, the culture, the majesty of a foreign country. And Eddie's like, the money, the babes. And Ed's like, the monsters. I am a kaiju fan, guys. Oh no, we totally knew, Ed. It wasn't a secret. But then their hopes are instantly dashed, because then they realize there is another party that won the contest as well. May Kanker has won the second sweepstakes. Yeah, she's the second winner, and of course she's bringing her sisters too. And Eddie's like, "Oh, cruel fate! Why do you torment me?" So the Eds and the Kankers are both going to Japan, and it goes about as well as you expect. So they land in Tokyo, and it immediately goes to hell, because the Eds and the Kankers were on a first-class flight, and the Kankers couldn't keep their hands off the Eds the entire time. Like, yeah, the entire time, like, Marie is trying to, like, get Ed, and she's like, let's make it the Mile High Club, sweetie. And he's like, no, man, no, none of that. And Lee is like, Lee is like, we're about to have some turbulence, right, right, Eddie? I hope not. And May is just like, let me be your stewardess of love, Ed. Ah! I'm being a one-man show today, apparently. So they immediately the moment they land, they get thrown off the plane. Like, they get just thrown off the plane. Their luggage is not, like, they lost their luggage. They lost everything. So now they're kind of just stuck in Japan. The Eds are stuck in Japan with the Kankers. And Ed, thankfully, like, they managed to convert what money they had left. They had in, like, just spending money. And essentially, they only had enough to make a couple phone calls. Of course, Double D tries to call his parents. They don't answer. Eddie tries to call his brother, he hangs up on him, and Ed calls Sarah, is like, we are trapped in Japan, baby sister, call Mom and get us home. And she's like, no, hang up. So now they're trapped in Japan. They are literally trapped in Tokyo. But they're like, well, if we're going to have to make money, then, Double D's like, at least we're here. We can, we could make some money to get enough money to go home. That'd be cool. And Eddie's like, yeah, it's a fresh new, Sockhead's right. It's a brand new start for the Eds. And Double D immediately goes, but we don't speak the language. And Eddie's like, damn it, Sockhead. So Eddie's big plan to get money is to go to that tournament and make Ed the winner, defeat the Yokozuna of that sumo wrestling tournament and beat him and take the prize money to get back home. Of course, Eddie has ulterior motives, but of course this wouldn't be an Ed and Eddie episode if that wasn't the case. And like I said, we haven't forgotten the Kankers because they're throwing a monkey wrench in the whole thing, but they're like, yeah, we want to go back to the trailer park too. So what the heck? What do you want? They are like, hey, we'll help you train Monobrow. That'll work. But you gotta meet us halfway, Eddie. And he's like, name your price. And they're like, a nice date for us to you. And Ed is like, no, Eddie, don't make me go. Say it. Don't send me to the gallows, Eddie. But yeah, so Eddie reluctantly agrees to this because if they want to get if Ed is going to be trained enough to defeat the Yokozuna, he's got to get help. So the Kankers will agree to train him, but they have to go on a date with them for the weekend before the tournament begins. So we now have the Eds and Kankers off on various adventures. Can't believe I just did that. In their own little separate stories. So with Eddie and Lee, they are hitting the the Shinjuku district of Tokyo, which is all where the fun shit is. At least I think it is. I need to get back on Kaiju Noir on that to get that right. But yeah, they hit all the fun tourist trap stuff. Eddie, Double D manages to convince Marie. Excuse me. He convinces Marie to travel with him to the more scenic, more cultural, beautiful areas of Japan. And the only reason he manages to get that through is it's a rather romantic and quiet place, Marie. And she's like, what are we waiting for? Meanwhile, Ed and May go to, where do you think they went? No, really, where the fuck do you think Ed would go if he was in Japan? Toho Studio. Of course he goes to Toho. So Ed and May go to Toho, and Ed breaks into where they're building a new miniature for a new Godzilla movie, and he gets into the suit and goes, I am Edzilla! Screonk. So Ed, in the Godzilla suit, just stomps onto the scene and is just wrecking shit. And they were already preparing to shoot a new movie, a scene for a new movie, and they just think, oh, it's just the suit actor. Okay, it's just Satsuma. It's just Satsuma-san. Rolling. So Ed has to battle the puppet of Ghidorah in the Godzilla suit, and he's just like, this is the. I have achieved pure emotions. And May is cheering him on the whole time, while at the same time they're both trying to avoid security, who have realized, hey, some Americans just broke into our studio while they were on a studio tour, and yeah, goes about as well as you think. Meanwhile, Eddie and Lee have pissed off a guy who's part of the Yakuza, so now they have to run through the entirety of Tokyo to avoid the Yakuza after Eddie scammed one of their members. and now have to, like, ride a bullet train, and, like, Lee has to protect Eddie the whole time. While they're like, they're fucking shooting at us, holy shit. As for Double D and Marie, they're kind of enjoying their time together because it's more, like, peaceful and serene and, like, wow, this is really nice. And Eddie is, like, Double D is, like, regaling Marie of all, like, Japanese culture and whatnot. Meanwhile, the other two Eds and Kankers have been caught and thrown in jail. Like, they've both been caught in jail, and Eddie and Double D has to use what little money they managed to have left to post bail to get them out. And Eddie's just complaining. He's like, they were doing a play of the 47 Ronin, and I wanted to be Ori, but they made me Oshi. Kudos if you understood that vague reference. Anyway, so the only way now to get back to Peach Creek is for Ed to fight in the tournament, and they managed to get him in, and Ed has to, like, fight his, like, sumo wrestle his way through all of the opponents. And watching Ed, like of course it's Ed with all the strength, and he's like, I don't know, guys. My mom said never hit a baby with a diaper, and these are some really big babies. And May's the one who goes, think, Ed, you're not Ed. You are Edzilla. And he's like, squeak! And just runs back into the arena and starts wailing on everyone. So, by the end of it, everyone's together, all lovey-dovey. I know, we've had tons of videos talking about why the Kankers and Eds are not good for each other. I'm well aware, but let me have at least one ship that, like, puts off red flag. Okay, let me have this. Anyway, so everyone returns home. It's a wonderful story. It's a happy ending for everyone. The Kankers and Eds are together. Hijinks in Japan. There you go. Anyway, so there you go, guys. That is pretty much Big Ed in Japan. You guys tell me in the comments below. What did you guys think of it? Comment below, let me know. And what other stuff, hijinks, would you have the Eds and Kankers do while they were in Japan? Just comment below, let me know. And if you haven't already, hit the link below. Head on over to my Patreon for some exclusive content. And if you hit the 4th tier, you can send me requests for videos to do here on YouTube. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.